Welcome to episode 14 of Euro Previews. Today's episode is on the nation that will definitely be one of the favorites for this tournament, and that's France. France have enjoyed very good performances recently in major competitions, but now the pressure is to win this tournament. Can Didier Deschamps secure another major competition? What about Mbappé? He needs to show up at this Euros. Get your thoughts in the comments down below. How far do you think France will progress at this Euros? What is your starting 11? And further ado, let's get into the preview and prediction for France. France have really enjoyed some success recently in major competitions. Obviously, they have made 3 finals out of the last 4 major competitions they have performed in. Runners-up in 2016. The final they should have won against Portugal, but, Portugal just had some juju in that final and Eder turned into the hero. 2018, of course, World Cup, really dominant performance. 2022, they had all the injuries heading into that World Cup. Then there was the curse of champions not getting out of the group stage. They did that and made it to the final, and Mbappé put up one of the greatest finals performances ever, scoring a hat-trick. It doesn't matter. This team and this national team have so much depth. They could have a B team, a C team, a D team, an E team, and they would still maybe qualify for this Euros. That just shows the level of talent that is emerging every single year from this nation. The 2018 team of Umtiti, Varane, Pogba, Kante, they move on, even though Kante is still selected to this team. And there's a new generation, and the new generation is still balling out. The academies in France are the best in the world. They're the best in the world. You have Argentina, you have England, but France, the level of ballers like Camavinga, Chouameni, and some guys that didn't even get selected like Nkunku, Diaby. When it comes to this Euros, there's nothing else but to win. Anything other than a win is a failure. After they won that Euros in 2000, it was sort of a generational change between the French teams. Obviously, they made it to the World Cup final in 2006, lost on penalties to Italy. After that, they suffered a lot of embarrassing results. They had to redefine French football, and that was one thing with the academies. And since the academies have gotten better, the national team has just grown and grown, and now you just see guys like Mbappé stepping up. And France, they just have gone to that level of international football where, like a Brazil, like a Germany, like an Italy, that if they don't win, people will ridicule them. And I think that's a good thing for French football when it comes to recent results. For France and England heading into these Euros, or Portugal, I'm not looking too much into the friendlies. The game against Germany were just, I thought, really, really good. And they had to perform, and they performed. France were like, it's a friendly, not much pressure. And I expect a lot more than when it comes to the Euros, because when the Euros start, France are going to show up. Or they better, at least. They showed up a little bit at that last Euros. Then they took their foot off the gas against Switzerland, and they lost. So France have to respect every single opponent. It's not going to be an easy game. All the teams want to look at France and say, we're going to beat you. And France have to know that the other opponents are going to bring that mentality against them, and they got to show up. What they did to Gibraltar, France should go to The Hague for that. 14-0? 14-0? Come on, guys. Take it easy. Draw away to Greece 2-2. They did the double over Netherlands in the Euro qualifiers. But maybe a weakness in this team when watching them is defensively in transition. They don't really defend well compared to what they were in 2018 World Cup. They kept a lot of clean sheets. They kept it very strong with Umtiti and Varane and Pavard. They were very much rock solid at the back. Now I feel like there's a little bit more weakness there, but the midfield is good, the attack is good. It's just about piecing together the defense, and France could really go far again in this Euros, and I'm expecting it. But with these recent results, does anybody want to take into consideration? You let me know in the comments down below. If you're French, are you worried with the recent performances, or you're like, they're just sleepwalking? They're in gear 2 and 1. When it gets to the Euros, ramp it up to gear 7 and 6. So Didier Deschamps, he has now been manager of the French national team for over 12 years. 12 years is actually crazy. 151 games in charge, 98 wins, 29 draws, 24 losses. Didier Deschamps has evolved this French national team from, being a little bit underperformers to now just World Cup runners-up, Nations League win, runners-up of obviously the Euros. Didier Deschamps, you can say tactically he should be doing better, but he has to piece it together. We've seen many teams in international football where they have all this talent, but they don't perform, like a Belgium or England in the past, Brazil in recent World Cups. But Didier Deschamps, he knows he's got the talent. He knows he has one of the best squads at the Euros and at the World Cups, but he just figures it out. He puts everybody in the perfect position, and everybody has a value on the team. And I think Didier Deschamps, this is probably going to be his last Euros. Then the World Cup will be his last maybe major competition managing France. He deserves a lot of respect. He does. Remember what he did at club level? Winning the league for Marseille. Obviously, captained the World Cup winning team in 1998. Didier Deschamps is one of the greatest icons in French football. Yeah, he is, because of what he has done as a player and what he has done as a manager, and he will continue that legacy. And I like how Didier Deschamps says, okay, there's some players that we can talk about when we get to the squad that maybe they shouldn't be involved anymore, like a Giroud or somebody like that, but he understands we got to move from the old and we got to transition. What does he have to prove at this Euros? Maybe he should win it, yes, because he hasn't won. He hasn't won in 2016 or 2020, so maybe there is pressure to win it finally for France, but nobody's going to say, unless they go out of the group, which would be crazy, then you're like, Didier Deschamps, maybe it's time to move on. You got the contract, but we'll burn the contract and just say, move on. Didier Deschamps is a really good manager, and I think that's one thing that people need to highlight a lot in these Euros, that if he does win it, he's going to have something else to add to his legacy as one of the greatest icons in French football. Oh, Kylian. He better show up this time. Remember the last Euros? 0 goals. 0 goals in 4 games. That's not good enough from Kylian Mbappé. Of course, in the World Cups, he's already one of the greatest World Cup players of all time for what he has done in 2 World Cups, and he will continue to do for maybe for 2 more World Cups. But the Euros, now he's got to show up. He didn't show up in the Champions League for PSG. Yes, he scored those 2 goals against Barcelona, but against Dortmund, I think a lot of people were frustrated by Mbappe's play. He has to show why he is one of the best players in the world. To me, he is the best player in the world, and I'm hoping to see the best of Kylian, because he will not play a striker like he does for P. I just don't think he's not a striker. This guy is a left winger, and he is phenomenal in that position. So he needs to show why he's going to make that move to Real Madrid. You do it at the World Cup, no problems. Now at the Euros, we all expect you to shine. Yes, you could say France don't have the most greatest of attacks with the talent they have, like Dembele, Kolo Muani, Giroud, Thuram. They're very good players, but Kylian needs to understand that if they're not showing up, I have to. And he needs to take that sort of mentality into the Euros. And and I think we all are expecting a massive tournament from him after the disappointment in the Champions League. But let me know your thoughts, people. What is an expected goal for Kylian Mbappé goals-wise? I would say 3 to 5 goals would be respectable in the whole entire competition, not just the group stage. 3 to 5 goals. Kylian is that X factor. And that X factor can help France win the Euros. And Kylian has to be the X factor. So now here is the squad for France. A ridiculous team. You got Areola, who's been fantastic with West Ham, Bryce Samba, and Mike Maignan. Looking at that list for goalkeepers, Maignan is going to start. Maignan, he could say he's had a dip in form since winning the Serie A with AC Milan. I still think he's a quality goalkeeper. I really like Maignan. Defenders, you got Jonathan Klaus, Theo Hernandez, Konate, Jules Koundé, Ferland Mendy, Benjamin Pavard, William Saliba, and Umpe Meccano. The center backs could be an issue, and I'm going to show you what I would start at center backs for France. That's probably a weakness. Maybe you could talk about right back as well, but I would think Jules Koundé and Jonathan Klaus can do a good job there. And then you obviously have Theo Hernandez and Ferland Mendy who can rotate in that left back position. Umtiti and Varane, they were just so elite in 2018. They were so good that maybe they've taken a dip in form, the French national team defensively, but they still got a lot of talent. And now that talent really has to step up, like a Saliba, like a Konate. They got to rise to the occasion and not falter under the pressure that they will face in these Euros when it gets to a quarterfinal, a semi-final, and a final possibly. Midfielders, you got Edouard Camavinga, Youssouf Fofana, Antoine Griezmann, and N'Golo Kante, which is crazy to see Kante get selected, Adrien Rabiot, Aurélien Tchouameni, and Warren Zaïre-Emery. The midfield, I think it's just got everything. Youssouf Fofana has been excellent with Monaco this season. Then you got Antoine Griezmann who can play in the 10. N'Golo Kante, I wonder if he's going to get minutes. Maybe he'll get minutes against Poland. I would be shocked if Kante starts. I haven't watched a lot of Kante this season, maybe 1 game or 2 games. So I have no clue if he's still that same old Kante. But maybe he's there for experience, and hey, if they win the Euros, we'll see another song from Vega Dream. Then you got Rabiot, Tchouameni, Zaïre-Emery. It's crazy the amount of talent they have in the midfield and the attackers, France, that some of the players didn't get selected. Even Guendouzi didn't get selected, and he's actually been quite decent for Lazio. Let's move on to the attackers then. So we got Brady Barcola, Kingsley Coman, Ousmane Dembele, Olivier Giroud, Randa Kolo Muani, Kylian Mbappé, and Marcus Thuram. First off, there's no Nkunku, which I am shocked. Yes, Nkunku has dealt with a lot of injuries this season, but I was expecting him to be selected at least. Who would you take right now? Would you take Kolo Muani or Nkunku? Giroud, this is most likely going to be his last tournament because he's going to be making the move to the MLS next season. I don't really see him going to that next World Cup. I think this will be Giroud's last dance with the French national team. Can he secure a Euros with it, with the World Cup and the Nations League? And Giroud has done fantastic for the French national team, the all-time goal scorer. The problem for Kingsley Coman is he's got injured. So I don't know how fit he will be at the Euros, and if that's the case, then you have Dembele and Bradley Barcola. So they're a little bit weak out wide because, you know, Kylian Mbappé is definitely going to start on the left side. It's just a matter of the right side of the attack would be a little bit of a worry for me because I haven't seen Barcola play a lot on the right side, and I actually like Bradley. I think he had a little bit of a tough start with PSG. Towards the end of the season, Barcola then really found his rhythm and started playing a lot more with confidence. So I think Barcola could have a big Euros off the bench especially. But you look at this French team and you're like, they just got talent everywhere. They got talent everywhere. Now, do they have the best players in each position at the Euros? No. They obviously have one of the best goalkeepers, Maignan. They have a very good defense, and I think they got the best left back in Theo Hernandez, just my opinion. You're going to also add Nuno Mendes. Then you have Griezmann, who's just the creator, and everything clicks with Griezmann. But here's how I would start the French national team. So obviously you got Maignan in goal. I would go with Jules Koundé right back, Pavard and Saliba as the two center backs, and Theo Hernandez. You could add Konate, Upamecano, but the problem for Upamecano is I think he is a good defender, but the amount of mistakes he's making is just ludicrous. I mean, the mistakes he's making against Heidenheim and other Bundesliga teams. Upamecano has started a lot for Didier Deschamps, but Didier Deschamps has got to look at Saliba and think to himself, this is my squad, by the way. This is how I would line up. I know Didier Deschamps would go with Upamecano. Saliba has been a monster. I know Saliba would be a right center back and Pavard maybe could go left center back, but that would be my defensive line. You got Theo Hernandez, who's going to be bombing forward. Jules Koundé can be a little... They can then sit into a 3 center back formation when they're in possession, and then out of possession a back 4. So I think it's quite good to have Jules Koundé at right back compared to Jonathan Klaus. Then the two DMs or sort of 8s would be Tchouaméni and Camavinga. I mean, I don't need to explain. You could slot in Zaire Emery, Youssouf Fofana, and Kante, but I think it will be Tchouaméni and Camavinga. Number 10, obviously Griezmann. Right side Dembele, left side Kylian Mbappé. And striker, I would go for Marcus Thuram over Olivier Giroud. Giroud this season, I think he's starting to show his age. He just doesn't have the link-up play. A little bit slow. I mean, he's always been not really the quickest of players, but I think Thuram developed a very good partnership with Lautaro, and I think Thuram and Griezmann can develop that good partnership. Thuram and Kylian Mbappé can develop that good partnership. So this is how I would roll. The good thing for this French team is that left side with Theo Hernandez and Kylian Mbappé, because we know Theo Hernandez is going to be making run after run after run, overlapping, and then Kylian Mbappé can cut inside and take a shot. Dembele will be a bit more isolated down that right side, but Dembele is a very good creator. But finisher, non-existent. Non-existent in that aspect. And then you have Griezmann, who could just... He's just clicking everything. He's just the master chef, bro. He's got the onions there. He's got the garlic there. He's chopping everything. He's putting it into a beautiful meal. Griezmann is the glue. If Griezmann didn't play at this Euros, that would be a big worry. Because I don't think there's another French player that can play in that number 10 position and be amazing. Yeah, if Nkunku was selected, maybe Nkunku, but he's not Griezmann. Griezmann is that guy for the French national team. The key players is Kylian Mbappé, Griezmann, the two center backs Pavard and Saliba if they do start, because we've seen a lot of goals conceded for France and quite easy goals in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts, people. Who's the most important player on this French national team? Is it Griezmann, Mbappé, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Saliba, Pavard? You let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like I said in the Netherlands episode, remember to go check out that episode, people. This is not an easy group. Austria, who are balling out right now. Then you got the Dutch, who, yes, you beat them twice, but, you know, they had a lot of injuries. They were trying a bunch of different formations. I feel like we're going to see the best Dutch side at this Euros. Poland, you should be getting 3 points. So it's not going to be an easy group whatsoever. Kind of similar to the last Euros. They had Portugal, they had Germany, they obviously had Hungary, and it was a very, very difficult group. And then we saw in the round of 16, maybe they just took their foot off the gas and lost to Switzerland. I expect them to win this group still, even though I don't think they're going to get 9 points. It could be 7 points, maybe even 6 points. They could lose a game to either Netherlands or Austria. I did check out the bracket. They could face England in the semifinals. A rematch of the quarterfinal of the last World Cup. That would be a fantastic matchup. But for me, my prediction is France to win it or final. I mean, it's that simple. Anything other than that is simply a failure. With the team they have and one of the best players in the world in Kylian Mbappé, and with Griezmann clicking everything, I expect France to win it. And have they underperformed maybe in the last Euros? 100%. You don't go out of the round of 16 like that. So I think they will come back with a good mentality, losing the World Cup final. They really want to show who's the top dog in Europe. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, as we are covering the Euros all summer and having a lot of previews. So remember to check out all the previews I've done on the channel, also the Copa America content. If you want to support the channel, I'm starting a Patreon. We're going to do Patreon only videos, more previews, maybe talk about some individual players. But have a beautiful day, stay safe in this crazy world, and the next episode is on Austria. Adios, everybody.